Preparing our children for the future is our nation's utmost responsibility. At the helm of this mission are local school boards, the community's voice in public education. In New Jersey, local school boards have a strong voice, the New Jersey School Boards Association. NJSBA advances public education by advocating for school boards in the State House, in Congress, in the courts, and in the court of public opinion. Local school boards determine how they exercise their voice through the Delegate Assembly. The Delegate Assembly is NJSBA's major policy-making body. It's a twice-yearly Congress of sorts, a gathering of school board members who decide what their association will fight for or against in Trenton and in Washington.
There are so many pressing issues before the state in terms of education. There's school funding, construction, property taxes. All these things require individual school districts to express their concerns and to try to get legislation that would benefit their individual schools.
I would say to any school board member from another community that didn't participate that they need to get involved. They need to have their voice heard. They need to set the agenda, be part of the agenda. They can't just sit back and have someone else do it for them. They have to be part of the process. And once they do that and they see how it works, they will never go back to just sitting back and waiting for someone to do it for them.
I feel that the only way you're going to be able to mobilize the legislature, and this is something I've learned through being in the Delegate Assembly and being in the New Jersey School Board Association, is you have to focus the many voices that are available in the state.
It's no wonder that the Delegate Assembly, or the DA for short, is crucial to shaping advocacy on behalf of our schools. But in order for the process to be effective, school board members must participate in the DA and understand how it works. Each year, usually at its reorganization meeting, a school board selects a member to serve as delegate to the association. Each delegate has one vote and represents only one school board.
I was just reelected to my fourth term, and in my third term I finally got the position of delegate. And we look at this as an honor and a privilege. It is sort of a rite of passage. You're not someone who first comes on the board. There are many things that you have to learn, and so I was honored to be chosen.
The reason why some people run for their local school boards is because they want to have the opportunity to set policy and to make change. Well, once you realize that on a state level you have the ability to do that, or at least when I realized that, I jumped at the opportunity to come here.
How does the DA set policy? The first step takes place at the local board level. At least 75 days before the DA, school boards submit resolutions that call on NJSBA to adopt a policy in the form of a belief statement on a specific issue. These policies have enabled NJSBA to support important initiatives for the well-being of children, such as random drug testing or criminal background checks of school employees. Resolutions and bylaws amendments may also be submitted by the Board of Directors, County School Boards Associations, the Executive Committee, or NJSBA committees. Sometimes school boards will present emergency resolutions after the deadline, but they must meet specific criteria before they can be placed on the DA's agenda. The Resolutions Subcommittee, comprised of local school board members and appointed by NJSBA's president, considers staff research and previous NJSBA policies, and makes a recommendation to the DA to approve, reject, or modify the local school board's proposal. The subcommittee's research and recommendations are typically in the yellow pages of the DA handbook, which is mailed to each school board's registered delegate or to the school business administrator if no delegate is registered. The handbook includes all resolutions and recommendations, as well as any bylaws changes, policies that are set to expire, and any reports and studies by NJSBA committees. All information is also posted online at njsba.org, so school board representatives can have a good understanding of the issues before the Delegate Assembly. Delegates are encouraged to discuss the proposals with their local school boards prior to the DA.
The board can give us what their recommendations and feelings are, and they do that at times, but what they clearly understand and what we try to emphasize to people is that You're not bound by that decision. When you come to the Delegate Assembly, if you hear somebody making a convincing argument during the sometimes lively and spirited discourse that we have, you can change your mind.
On the date of the DA, delegates can register on site if their school business administrator has not pre-registered them already. Board members should also bring their ID. If neither the delegate nor the alternate can attend the meeting, another member of the board can be certified as an acting delegate. To receive voting privileges, an acting delegate can sign a certification form upon arrival at the DA, or they can bring a letter on school district letterhead and signed by the board secretary, authorizing them to serve as the acting delegate. At the typical delegate assembly, NJSBA's president and executive director will present reports and updates. Then the delegates discuss the resolutions. Delegates should also note that the Delegate Assembly Handbook has rules that describe the conduct and procedures during the DA. All agenda items must be seconded. Discussion is timed, and when speaking, board members must identify themselves by name and board, and whether they're speaking for or against the motion on the floor. The full Delegate Assembly has the final say. It can accept, reject, or modify either the recommendation from the Resolutions Subcommittee or the original proposal from the local school board. One year, for example, the Resolutions Subcommittee recommended the option of random drug testing of student athletes. But the delegates instead supported giving local school boards the option to test any student, not just athletes. This decision became NJSBA's policy, and it guided the association's legal staff when they argued in court to defend a school district that had random drug testing policies. It also guided NJSBA's lobbyists when legislation was proposed to allow random drug testing.
I like the process. I like the ability of all the delegates to be able to ask questions and then to also participate and put these changes into effect. So I can see this as a very powerful process that can make a significant change in New Jersey.
Over the years, the DA has dealt with matters involving school funding, labor negotiations, standards and assessment, transportation, teacher tenure, and student safety. Many of these proposals, ranging from a school board member code of ethics to criminal background checks of school staff, were ultimately enacted into law. NJSBA's Delegate Assembly. It's how school boards bring about change on a statewide level.
Each board should send a delegate here because it does affect all of us. We have to think globally.
The democracy is not a spectator sport. You really have to participate in order to make it work.
I tell people all the time, I said, it's important that you got involved in the school board for a reason in your local district. Now fight for all children in all districts.